You're moving to Seattle and you need the top 5 neighborhoods to go ahead and take a look at. Luckily for you, I'm entitled to an opinion, and my name is George Rodriguez with eXp Realty, and allow me a few moments today to be your realtor. When moving to Seattle, you have to decide, are you trying to be young, wild, and free, or are you trying to go to work and come back and hear the sound of Netflix at night? If you like me, I just hit 30, so trust me, I'm just trying to chill.
I just want to chill.
I'm going to leave a pinned comment down below, and if you want to highlight your favorite neighborhood in the area, I'm sure everyone else would appreciate it. The first neighborhood that we're going to talk about is going to be Capitol Hill. Think about it this way. You're going to have where this mic's at. This is where Seattle, downtown Seattle is. You're going to have I-5 shooting right across. On the other side of that freeway is going to be Capitol Hill, really close to Volunteer Park. And of course, I could have just, showed you that map, but hey, you get both. You get both worlds. So when it comes to current time and culture, today, this location is very generally associated with very progressive thinking and a forward-thinking mindset. So if this fits with also your internal beliefs, you're gonna be right at home with everyone else, all right?
We're gonna meet some people, and our contestants have to guess whether they're Republican or not.
And to follow up with that, when it comes into the art section of Capitol Hill, this is going to be almost associated with the hub of what vibrant art and community sense is going to be like. And don't mind the shining light that goes on and off. That's the sun saying hello and goodbye. We all know how that is in Washington State. Now, just like the art of the sun, we're going to talk about the art that is involved with Capitol Hill. With this area, you're gonna have a ton of art and a ton of culture that is wrapped around together. You're gonna be able to have a ton of galleries, a ton of theaters, a ton of music venues, and you're gonna have the Capitol Hill Arts District to follow with all that. This area is gonna host a myriad of events, so if you're actually needing an activities to actually conduct yourself during the daytime and you wanna just get in touch with just your inner body self, you're gonna have that opportunity in Capitol Hill.
The sand and the sky, and it's the 3 elements of the universe coming together.
And I'm gonna break the ice. When it comes to Capitol Hill, there is a ton of activities that's gonna happen in the nightlife, because everyone around this area is going to come to Capitol Hill to go to the club, to get out there and to have fun and to throw a drink back. And when I say everyone, I mean people in Pierce County, people above Seattle and Everett, because I guess there's still people living further close to the border, and no disrespect, but everyone's going to be coming to this local area because that's just where everything is for people to go out and have fun at night. And to continue on, the food and drinks in this area, Seattle just kind of meets that need. This is where the food is going to be located. Not just saying Capitol Hill has it, but everyone has it. The beautiful thing of actually living within Capitol Hill, or just Seattle in general, you're going to have the ability to have a numerous amount of cultures because this state is like a melting pot. You get everything. And when I mean everything, you get the food, okay? And people are so proud of this fact that they put that into the dishes that's fed.
Kinda good. Need a little hot sauce, but it's kind of good though.
And as a slight caveat, this place has a ton of craft breweries, a ton of coffee shops, a ton of cocktail bars. So if you have a niche, if you have a need to get your sip on, it's gonna be here, okay? And to follow all this up, to wrap up Capitol Hill in general, let's talk about the real estate and what you're going to be expected to see within this location. You're gonna have more of the apartments, the condominiums, the higher end apartments and condominiums, and typically speaking, a lot of the newer construction that's going to be in this area is going to be more of that high rise, the 3 tri-level location. That's gonna be more of your residential properties. You're not gonna have that normal 3-car garage, typical house setting that you're gonna see in the suburban area. So when it comes to the median sale price within this area, it's going to be within the ranges of the $750,000 to $850,000 range. You can always find properties that are lower or higher above, but generally speaking, this is going to be the kind of typical price point that you're going to be paying to be living within Capitol Hill. So is Capitol Hill going to be right for you? Honestly, it all depends on what type of lifestyle that you're trying to live, which is why I said this earlier. Because typically speaking, within this area, if you're trying to build a lot of dopamine mentally, you're going to have that opportunity because you're going to have all the activities during the day as well as during the night. So you can choose if that's going to be right for you. Next up, we have Ballard, and this list is not in any particular order. I'm just saying what comes to my head because we're just recording right now. Ballard is going to be within this conversation because one of the larger areas for neighborhoods is going to be associated with Seattle. You're going to have more of the outskirts feel, so you're going to have a little bit more of the neighborhoods that aren't prevalent within Capitol Hill. In terms of location, you're gonna be located northeast of Seattle, so you're gonna be a little bit further away in terms of how close in proximity you're going to be to the downtown Seattle area. So in terms of the history of Ballard, it has a little bit more spiciness to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it off to you. The history of Ballard. Ballard was once its own city before being annexed by Seattle in 1907. If you don't know what annex means, it's basically to take or appropriate, especially without permission. Don't worry, I'm reading that from dictionary.com, so you know they're not lying, right? It was founded by Norwegian immigrants and still retains much of its Scandinavian heritage, including historic buildings and businesses. So there's story time for you. So as now we're going to continue on.
Hey, you awake? Yeah. I want you to know I hate you.
Some of the events that are going to be held within this area annually are going to be the Ballard Seafood Fest and the Ballard Jazz Festival. Now let's move on to food and drinks.
2 shots of vodka.
If you are a seafood foodie, and unfortunately for my dad, he does not like seafood, this is going to be one of the areas that's going to meet your near and dearest heart because it's known for seafood within this location. And to wrap up the beverage department, you're going to have a ton of craft breweries, distilleries, and cideries if you have a spirit for spirits. Did you catch that one? In this area, I would like to highlight some of the outdoor recreation. Of course, when it does come to Seattle and it's outdoor recreation, you can honestly touch any of these areas if you decide to drive to that location. At this park, Golden Gardens Park, you're going to have the perfect opportunity to catch the views of the Puget Sound with the Olympic Mountains in the background. So you're going to have the best opportunity to take yourself out, take your family out, take your dog out, and don't forget to bring your phone. Take a picture and then tag me and hashtag thank you for being the best agent in all the state of Washington, giving us the best views to see in Ballard. Thanks. You know, I learned you either hate me or love me. You're welcome. Let's go ahead and wrap up Ballard and wrap up the real estate that you're going to be seeing within this area. Typically, you're going to still be seeing a lot of the older historic homes that are going to be associated with Seattle just in general. You're going to have a mix of old and new with commercial and residential. This neighborhood is going to be more popular with families and younger individuals because they still have the opportunity to go to Seattle, but you have the opportunity to actually raise a family within this area because you're going to have more of the properties that are more well suited for those with bigger families than those that are living by themselves or with one significant other. Housing properties are going to vary when it does come to the average median sale. It's going to be around $840,000, $815,000. Like I always say, you can find some things below and definitely some things above depending on what type of property you're going to be looking for. But generally suited, this is going to be a good standpoint for an idea of how much you're going to be typically paying on the property of your choice within Ballard. Overall, if Ballard is going to be right for you, this does offer more opportunities to actually have a larger property or to have the ability to raise a family within this area because you're going to have a little more of the residential properties that are well suited for a bigger family. The next neighborhood we have to talk about is going to be Queen Anne, and this is going to be one of the more desirable locations, and it's essentially going to be divided into 2 parts. You're going to have the upper portion, which is going to be at the top of the hill, and this is where you get many of the beautiful views that some of these homes have to actually offer. And the lower portion is going to be at the base of the hill. The allure and prestige of this area is the fact that your neighborhood is going to be at the Seattle Center. You're going to have amenities and attractions at your back door. You're going to have the Space Needle, Museum of Pop Culture, Pacific Science Center, Chihuly Garden of Glass, a beautiful place to take your kids at, by the way, and Olympic Sculpture Park. And not to mention, you're going to have the annual Queen Anne Days Festival, which features a parade and a myriad of community events.
First of all, you're throwing too many big words at me, okay? Now, because I don't understand them, I'm gonna take them as disrespect. Watch your mouth.
In terms of the food and beverage, you're gonna be at the hub, the center of the finest dining that Seattle has to offer. You have everyone from across the world, across the state coming into Pike Place Market, and you get to have that at your back door. Isn't that insane? When it comes to the outdoor recreation and views, you're going to have something that the rest of the state can't have besides looking it up on Google. Mainly, you're gonna have Cary Park, which is going to offer stunning views of the city skyline. And let's just say you find yourself in a position where, you know what, I need to travel a little bit. I need to get my cardio up and get my heart right. You're going to be located near Burke and Gilman Trail, and this is going to offer you a perfect opportunity to have a trail from Seattle to Bothell. And this is very easily accessible. Of course, you can walk it, but if you're trying to get your Lance Armstrong on and pedal your way to success, this will be a perfect opportunity for you to actually get out there and enjoy yourself. Now let's talk about the real estate that is within Queen Anne. So the average median sale price, I'm gonna break it to you. You're not gonna get in here cheap. You're gonna be spending quite a bit sum of money. Now, according to Redfin, the average median sale price is at or around $912,000, but I'm gonna keep it real with you. You're basically gonna be looking at or over $1 million. So that's just kind of is what it is when you're at this desirable location of Queen Anne. This area is extremely popular and competitive when any time a property within this location decides to actually come up in the market. So whenever something does come up, you can find yourself in a bidding war because there's not a lot of opportunities to get within Queen Anne, let alone get a good property that meets your needs without having to restore it or rehab it to get to your current standard of what you want for your personal living. So is Queen Anne going to be the right location for you? Well, it honestly depends on your budget, but also if you are having a good sense of family, you're trying to raise someone and this is within your wheelhouse, honestly, Queen Anne is a perfect solution for anyone that's trying to get within Seattle. The next neighbor we're going to talk about is going to be Queen Anne's neighbor, and that's going to be Magnolia. So if you need a good idea of where this is going to be, basically it's going to be on the west side of Queen Anne. Magnolia is highly regarded and extremely competitive. Reason being, you're going to be one of the safest places in all of Washington State. And not to mention, you're going to be in Seattle just for that. The reason being is going to be completely competitive whenever you decide to actually purchase a property within Magnolia because no one leaves. You're also going to have some of the best public education located in the entire state of Washington within Magnolia, but also Queen Anne's going to share some of the same similarities because they're next door neighbors. I feel like I'm beating a drum, but same thing when it comes to the food and drinks in this area. You are going to have a lot of amenities of decisions when you want to go out to actually eat some food. But at this point in time, the further away you're getting from Seattle, the more often you're going to find yourself going actually within downtown Seattle to actually get your food and cravings on. Now, when it comes to the real estate that's going to be located within Magnolia, your average median sell price is going to be close to $1.1 million. Reason being, like I said earlier, extremely competitive. And normally when you find yourself in a position where you see someone purchasing a property in this area, they're just going to knock it down if it's an old home and put on something more grand and just lusciously beautiful to look at in this area. So when you find yourself looking at a Magnolia, again, you have to put your honest and best foot forward, because when you're coming to get into some of the better and more desirable areas that is just carries more mystique, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to have other suitors competing with you to get in there. So is Magnolia going to be a good location for you and your family? Yeah, there's the duh.
What type of question is that?
So the next place I want to talk about, and it's going to be one of my favorites, so I'm a little biased, it's going to be West Seattle. So it's going to be located just southwest of downtown Seattle. The main attraction of West Seattle is the fact that you have Alki Beach. And honestly, in the western part of Washington, it's going to be one of the most desirable locations to be if you want to have that island feel, because it's the only opportunity you're going to have. The beautiful thing about Washington is they have a ton of trails, hills, mountains, all this beautiful stuff for nature. The last missing link that we're having within this section of Washington that you're desiring to live in is going to be that beach feel. And you're going to get that in West Seattle. And now for the food and beverage, because I'm a foodie and like this place offers all that and more. When you're on that strip of where you're basically going to be at Alki, you have everything going all the way down as far as your eyes can see of food options and beverages that everyone has to offer from all different types of cultures. So you have a good opportunity to go ahead and get that same sense of island feel that you're not going to really get anywhere else in Washington State. So when it comes to the culture and vibe of West Seattle, they're kind of in this in-between. Like you're basically in Seattle, but then you also have your people doing their own thing. So it's nice if you have a nice laid-back personality because they have that family value vibe within the area. So it's a very nice niche because you're going to have beautiful things like Lincoln Park and most importantly, Alki Beach. For real estate within this area, you're going to be typically spending around an average median sale price at around $765,000 according to Redfin at the time of this recording. But in my personal opinion, you can find things above it and definitely below. I think $800,000 is probably a good location of price on what you're going to be looking at when you're going to be spending to get into West Seattle. And think of it this way, just like location matters, because it does, the closer you get to the water, the more you're going to be spending. Now you're going to be finding a lot of properties that are within here. So is West Seattle going to be a good choice for you? I mean, honestly, if you have a family, you're trying to raise them a certain way, I mean, I believe it can be. But of course, I'm not the person to tell you if it is or not. This goes back to the beginning of the video where I told you it honestly depends on where exactly you're trying to live, because how you're trying to live your life and what type of amenities and access to location you're trying to have will better fit what you're needing as a family or yourself. If you found this information at all valuable, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. And if you need even more help, you can go ahead and contact me below if you need help buying or selling property within the Seattle area. As always, you take care.